Artificial intelligence has generated lots of fear, depending on who you are, raising concerns over the security of our own jobs or even safety. But the negative headlines ignore the good that it can do, especially for those who need a little extra help. And Mark New has this.
Wow, hello Microsoft Build.
Microsoft's Imagine Cup is a competition where millions of students from around the world have competed to show how their tech can improve lives. This year, the vast majority of teams went all in on AI, including the winner, a Kenyan team called Tawi, that used AI to help kids with auditory processing disorders overcome communication barriers.
Students can really see the potential of AI because they're kind of unbound from the limits of what they think they can or can't do. They're trying to solve world problems. They're trying to solve medical issues, education issues, and AI is really something they see as a tool that can help them get there.
And at higher education institutions across the globe, AI is being used in research projects in hopes of improving the lives of the disabled community. AI is being harnessed for its ability to pick up on the slightest of details and detect things humans would otherwise miss. At Cornell University's Smart Computer Interfaces for Future Interactions lab, researchers have developed a one-of-a-kind spectacle. The person here is mouthing words that are instantly recognized even though the words aren't said out loud. Equipped with tiny speakers and microphones, the EchoSpeech glasses are like a wearable sonar system, sending and receiving sound waves across the face and sensing mouth movements. Its developers say AI analyzes the data with around 95% accuracy.
The AI we use is very good at observing the very subtle differences in facial movements. So that part of movements might be very difficult for humans to understand, but without AI, we wouldn't be able to map the signal to the movement and therefore to tell what the user is speaking without AI.
Zhang says the glasses can help people with special needs and those who've lost the power of speech to access and control all kinds of connected devices.
But if they are still able to move their lips, then they can still use the system to let the system tell what they're telling and still have access to voice interfaces. There are also patients who have certain difficulty in vocalizing certain sounds. It's called dysphonia, but the lip movements might still contain enough information to to distinguish what the user is speaking.
With all the headlines about generative AI taking over jobs and its potential to create disinformation, Zhang is proud to say their AI research is focused on positive change.
Somebody commented on Twitter, this is AI for good in its best shape. I think AI, technically and socially, it's got great potential in helping people with special needs.
The research team is currently working on the next step, using lip movements to synthesize sounds with subtleties of tone and emotion, which could someday help the disabled regain a voice. Mark New, CGTN, San Francisco.
For more on this, we're joined by Markku Hakkinen. He's the Director of Accessibility Standards and Inclusive Technology Group at ETS, which is the world's largest private educational testing and measurement organization. From New Jersey, good to see you. Thank you, and I think it is a breath of fresh air because there is fear of what AI can or can't do, but here we have an example of what AI is doing to help those who we often say we're going to help, but it's been an ongoing challenge, especially for those with disabilities. This has to be at least encouraging when it comes to seeing those people get access to this technology. So one, how are they going to get access to it? And two, how appropriate is it for them to utilize this every single day?
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you for having me on. It's interesting to note that people with disabilities have been effectively early adopters of AI and AI-based technologies for many years. Many of my staff members include individuals with disabilities, and they're daily users of assistive technologies on their mobile devices that use AI. Some of the early technologies, such as optical character recognition, which was AI-based very early on, are used to convert images of text to be spoken to an individual who cannot see that text. And so in many ways, again, disability technology may lead the way in understanding how to apply AI.
What's the biggest gap when it comes to disabilities? Because we say the word disability, but it means honestly many different things, you know, for my own family and I'm sure yours as well. But what is the gap that we're trying to fill that is most needed right now that tech has not addressed thus far?
Yeah, disability is a very broad definition. On the planet itself, we have over 1 billion people who have one or more disabilities. And so part of the, I think, major challenge is moving from the idea where we in the US and other countries have ready access to technology and broadband, and then being able to provide technologies that can work effectively to those who do not yet have access to smartphones or broadband connectivity.
Oftentimes when people have disabilities, it's some of it's either seeing visual or it's audio, right? They can't speak into the phone necessarily and command orders or ask for certain things. And I wonder how AI could predict what those in need would want, and not necessarily before they want it, but would assist those, especially the caregivers, because ultimately the caregivers are the ones helping take care of the people with disabilities as well. And so there's a whole group or family that often depends on this technology.
Right, and I think one of the ways of looking at AI, not as a threat, but really as an assistant to us, both in terms of helping us come up with the solutions that will solve access needs and provide support, and then as individual supports to individuals by effectively providing customized assistive technology solutions. I think that's one of the more promising areas that we've been investigating, is how can AI help us provide more personalized accessibility solutions to people with disabilities.
I know Microsoft has a very large program to provide accessibility for those in need. I mean, they clearly promote that very well. But my question is this, is a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, one, I don't even know if I have the price tag for it, but some of this AI stuff is fairly expensive, or it's still being innovated, so there isn't a price tag yet. Then you start thinking about affordability, right? Because those with disability, a lot of times may not have access to be able to, one, afford this technology, or two, maintain the technology.
I think we've seen some promising steps to address the affordability. A lot of companies like Microsoft and Apple and Google build the foundations of accessibility and assistive technology into their devices. And for example, Microsoft very early on released something called Seeing AI, which was an app for iPhones and Android phones that allowed people with visual impairments to have the cell phone describe what's around them, have the cell phone describe if there's some money to be exchanged, what is the currency denominations, and that was freely available. And so one of the things that I think is important to note is that many of these features may be built into the devices at no extra cost. And many of the assistive technology features from Apple and Microsoft are being built in for free and leverage AI.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. And might I also add, all of this helps them be incorporated back into sort of the ecosystem, and perhaps even work and do other things that a lot of times we take for granted. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Excellent topic.